Based on some information from the intelligence services and the prosecutors, which were investigating some cases related to the involvement of, including former members of the parliament, it seems to be that some of the diplomats from the Russian Federation, which were accredited to the Russian embassy, they had an activity which is inappropriate and not related to the diplomatic activity. Without entering too much in details, it seems to be that some of those diplomats were officers from a secret service, which I understand comes from one of the services, whatever services, GRU or elsewhere or whatever. And there were some proofs identified by the intelligence services that they were having activities which is not connected to their diplomatic activity. Collecting information, analyzing. Yesterday there was in Chisinau held the Council of the Security Council, led by President. In this council, because I was visiting Switzerland, I was not attending, but as I was informed, the intelligence service plus the prosecutors and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs were reporting yesterday, giving information, background information and everything which they collected. And based on that information and the facts that were developed, it was taken a decision through the government to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ask diplomats to leave the country. Of course, Russia Federation responded with the same symmetrical actions. It's a small embassy of Moldova in Russia Federation. That was clear that it will be a response in one way or another. It's the way it is done, and this is the cause.
Очень коротко, 25 лет с момента распада СССР, где находится Молдова? Молдова.
The correct name is Moldova, but usually people also call Moldavia. It's from the former, from historical trend.
Где находится страна, куда она идет? Какие перспективы?
There were 25 years, difficult years of development. It is still, people are still feeling, and the old generation, for example, my parents, they still feel difficulties in transformation the country from Soviet Union to a new era of development. Moldova was always this period of time looking for the best solution to find its own place in the geography and the history of Europe. We had upside downs in development. We had better period of time of growth in the economy, growth in trade, and in development, but we also had crises like many other countries in the region. Unfortunately, Moldova started its independent life with some conflicts. We had a conflict with Transnistria, the region, the east region of Moldova. We had a small conflict in the south of Moldova with Gagauzia. We had those national moves, like in many other countries, at the beginning of 90s. Then we had that primitive business, as also in Russia Federation. So Moldova had upside downs in development, but always were looking for some opportunities and perspectives. We were always looking to find balance between East and West. We care very much about the relationship with Russian Federation and the former Soviet Union countries. At the same time, we don't want to be only connected to the past. We want to look for the future. And for the future, we believe that Moldova can take a good example of development like the European Union is, as providing a good model for transformation. Therefore, Moldova now it's on the way to integration in Europe, which will take tremendous work and time. It's not something which you do it in 1-2 days or even in a year. In 2014, we signed the association agreement. It will take maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years to become eligible afterwards to become member of European Union. But that's the goal. But to become member of European Union, that does not mean to ignore or to disregard a good relationship with other countries. When I was saying that we care very much about the relationship with Russian Federation, we care because of the historical ties. We care because of the economic relationship. We care because people, even in the mentality in Moldova, they still watch Russian TV channels. They still care about nice movies from Soviet period of time, and not only Soviet period, but also the modern period. And Moldova tries to find this balance between East and West. On one side, to do well with Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Stan countries, but at the same time to have the freedom to choose the best model which we believe is suitable for Moldova for further development. We also have historical grounds and links with Romania. We speak Romanian language. We are part of Romanian culture because of the, but at the same time with links because of the former history from Russian Empire, Soviet Union, and others. So we'd like to, because today we are in Switzerland, we'd like to be like a Swiss confederation with good balancing powers and good balancing interest in the relationship between all the countries in the region. Sometimes we do well, sometimes not. The society is divided. In some of them in East looking, some of them looking at the West. Politicians taking advantage in dividing the society, playing the political card on this division. Unfortunately, we have parties in extremists on one side or another, which they would like to have some extreme decisions. Some of them would like to push Moldova to be united with Romania and disregard the Eastern relationship. Some of them would like vice versa. But what we try as the current political class, as well as my party, the government today, is to keep balance, to get advantages from the West, to get advantages from, and to build really inclusiveness and united society for the project called Moldova. We should forget to move Moldova on different sides, but to really be concentrated on building our own home.
Хорошо, что вы упомянули Швейцарию, как раз вы упомянули в связи с этим также конфликт с Приднестровьем, Транснистрией. Швейцария, как вы знаете, страна почти идеального федерализма, и вот в свете как раз швейцарского опыта, как выглядит ситуация сейчас в отношениях Молдавии и Приднестровья, и можно ли сказать, что Молдавия списала этот регион, забыла его, и была ли бы она готова по швейцарскому образцу предоставить, например, Приднестровью самые широкие свободы и компетенции в сравнении с теми, которые имеются у швейцарских кантонов?
We never gave up the territory of Transnistria, and what was never in the plan of doing so. And I don't see any political parties or the further future leaders to take a decision to just give up of Transnistria. This is our territory and we care very much of them. But unfortunately, all these 20 years and more, we did not find a proper understanding and an agreement, a settlement, how this could be. It's difficult to speak about federation or confederation, but we are ready to give a very large autonomy and a spatial status to Transnistria, but inside of the country. That's what we discuss also at the level of the 5+2, the guarantors, together with Russian Federation, Ukraine, OSCE, United States, European Union, everybody which is a part of this format. Unfortunately, it's to blame also Chisinau administration and Moldova leadership, because we never came to the table of negotiations with a proper vision and a strategy. We will always coming with some small steps, sometimes advancing, sometimes without results. But I think it's time now to come with a strategy, with a vision that we would like to give to Transnistria, let's say, some of the elements from what means spatial status, local parliament, local government. I don't know if currency or not. There are so many models in this world which we can adapt. For example, I don't know, Puerto Rico or Hong Kong, or even in Switzerland we see some of the elements. It's difficult to give an example of Switzerland because Switzerland is a clear confederation. It was built historically in a different way. Now we have Transnistria as a region that we have to fit and to find the proper status. We can work on and bring a large autonomy, except, for example, currency, foreign policy, army, defense, security. Others, discussable. Today we have a region in the south called Gagauzia, which they already benefit from a somehow quite wide autonomy. They have their own local parliament. They have autonomy in some of decisions. They have the local government executive branch. They have a leader called governor or Bashkan, which is, by the way, by default member of Moldovan government. So we could figure out some of the ideas. It's just to have the will, political will, to have openness to everybody, not only about us, it's also about the leaders from Transnistria, but it's also to bring at the table the guarantors and those countries which are working in this format 5+2.
Вы, наверное, уже побывали где-то в Швейцарии за еще не неделю?
Generally in the country, I was visiting country before, but not this time. Official delegation, it's only for Bern one day.
Что вас больше всего удивляет в Швейцарии?
We can learn many lessons from Swiss. Tolerance, openness for balancing the powers, of course, strong business community, strong banking sector, very good industry in different industries, starting from pharma, ending with the watches, and very attractive in terms of tourism, and very multicultural. It's amazing that in one country they have 4 languages and nobody cares. In the parliament here, we were visiting today the sessions. I heard French, I heard German, I heard Italian language, and everybody's happy and nobody's disturbed. That's amazing.
При этом здесь в Швейцарии, например, одна из основ условий успеха швейцарской модели — это, например, такие вещи, как защищенность частной собственности, вмешательство государства в дела рынка, правовая защищенность людей. Вот как в этой ситуации выглядит Молдова? Она может что-то подчеркнуть для себя из Швейцарии?
Well, in Moldova, we try now to build a very open market and the business environment to give freedom and not to interfere in the business, to have more stability, not to change so often the taxation or other rules, better to keep them as long as possible stable. The rule of law, justice and courts, that's the biggest weakness. Still we have to work a lot because we don't have strong institutions. We still have weak institutions where you can solve the issues by picking up the phone and calling than using a proper rule and a system. I noticed many times, and also in discussions with my colleagues, that as west you go, as far as you go to the west, rule of law, institutions, and less human involvement works. And as far as you go on the east, you have less institutions and system, and you have human factor working, like everything on contacts, connections, which we would like to avoid. We'd like to have a system which works, rule of law, institutions, strong institutions. That's something that we still need to work on, because then you have corruption, cases, bureaucracy, and that's something that we have to overpass.
Последний вопрос, который связан с Швейцарией и с ее прямой демократией. Вы знаете, что в Швейцарии действует прямая демократия. Например, наверное, для вас, как представитель парламента, это будет очень интересно. Любой закон, который здесь даже принят парламентом и в Вене вступил в силу, может быть любым гражданином на улице вынесен на референдум и отменен. Как вы считаете, это могла бы быть модель когда-нибудь пригодной для Молдавии? Или что вообще из швейцарских традиций прямой демократии Молдова хотела бы перенять в себя?
Of course, this is a very good example of real democracy. But for this, you have to still build what we call society, mentality of people. For a population to be able to ask for referendum for a specific law is to be prepared by knowledge, experience, and understanding. When you have a population which only wakes up somehow like a small child is only starting to walk, to learn to work, it's difficult to ask a child like this to go to pass exams in astronomics or the high mathematics. Everything comes in time, in level of development. Moldova today and the Moldova society and the population is like that small child which grows, and maybe we reached the first class. So we still have to reach the university like Switzerland. This takes time, this takes efforts, this takes political will as well. I would love to have population which every week maybe goes for referendums to decide the most important issues in the country. That will give me as member of the parliament a freedom of a completely different accountability and reliability to rely on population. Today, unfortunately, in Moldova, like in other countries in the region, Ukraine, Russian Federation, society, civil society, population generally has to grow and to reach that level of democracy and understanding. Takes time.